Hi, I'm Megan. We're going to talk about healthy holiday eating tips. This is myself. I'm a registered and licensed dietitian, certified specialist in obesity weight management, and certified wellness practitioner. This is sponsored by Premier U with locations in Swansea, Marion, and South County. So why focus on holiday eating tips? We want to make sure that this is something that we're maintaining during the holiday season. So it helps us stay on track with our goals. If it's weight loss, if it's improved health, trying to minimize disease risk, whatever that may be, just having this focus during a holiday season that's heavily focused on food. So why focus on holiday eating? Holiday overeating risk. This is a big risk. Honestly, there's a lot of opportunity to overeat on the holidays. Overindulgent meals, festive treats, family gatherings where there's just a lot of food brought in. And then we have our favorite foods on top of that and things that are more nostalgic and we really want to eat. All of these things tend to lead to overeating, especially more calorically dense foods. It can impact our health. It can get us off of our goals temporarily, but it can. So we want to be mindful that we're using mindful eating practices, that we're paying attention to what we're eating, that we're eating to support our energy, our mood, and we want to prevent that overindulging in things that are calorically dense to make sure we're just staying on a healthier pathway. This conscious food choices does help with some holiday enjoyment and the health celebrations and celebrating health together. So making sure we're eating regularly. There is a risk if we're skipping meals. This is a big one. If you feel like you have a big meal coming up later in the day, be it a lunch meal or a dinner meal, so you're trying not to eat during the day because you know you have this big meal coming up and you're potentially going to consume all of your calories there. Not a good idea. Really try to eat something at the beginning of the day like you normally would, focusing on fiber and lean protein together. When you get to that meal later in the day, then you're not so hungry. You're less likely to overeat and take the opportunity to enjoy the foods that you really like. Making sure that we're eating consistently also helps maintain stable blood sugars and reduces those hunger spikes that we may get. It gives healthy snacks, can be used for parties because it helps cut the urge of overindulging as well. So this could be something you could bring to the party, bring fruit and vegetable trays, make sure what we're eating is lower calorie, nutrient dense. This helps support metabolism, helps support our energy, and overall making better food choices. Making sure that we're staying hydrated and drinking plenty of water. This helps distinguish thirst from hunger. It helps reduce unnecessary snacking. It also helps our bodies realize what our hormones are trying to tell us. Helps with bowel regulation and making sure that we're not getting constipated, bloated, things are moving the right way. It's by supporting its digestion. We want to make sure that we're choosing water over sugary beverages primarily. If you have a sugary beverage, really keep the portion down to about no more than 4 ounces if you can. Most of your intake should be coming from water. Be selective with your treats. You want to have selective indulgences by choosing those favorite treats to enjoy in moderation and avoiding those less loved options. Maybe not avoiding them, but having them in a smaller portion, right? So those food items that we really enjoy, that we're more nostalgic about, the ones that you know, Aunt Betty made her Christmas cookies that you want every single year, by all means, give yourself the grace and have those foods. Just keep the portions down. Balance your plate. Make half your plate non-starchy vegetables, a quarter of it of protein, a quarter of it your starch or your grain. And truly try to enjoy those mindful eating practices by slowing down and enjoying what you're eating. Watch your portions. If you have a choice between a salad plate or an appetizer plate and a dinner plate, choose a smaller plate. Your portions are going to look larger on that plate, and that perception to the eye actually makes you feel satisfied sooner. So choosing those smaller plates to keep the portions under better control. Pausing before you get to seconds. You may not need seconds or really want seconds It's just a habit that you're into that you need to just be mindful of. You want to make sure if you are getting seconds that you're actually hungry, not thirsty as well. A good tip if you've already had one plate, you're thinking about seconds, is take a break, drink some water, get up, walk around, distract yourself. And if you really feel like you'll still need to go back, then you get a very small portion and really try to focus on the fiber and the lean protein if you're doing that. But again, making sure that those favorite foods, the more calorically dense ones, are actually consumed first. That way you're not eating the foods that you know are healthy because you're trying to keep yourself on the right pathway, but the temptation is getting too strong to eat those foods that you really enjoy, and then you eat them anyways, and then you're definitely overeating. Keep moving. Staying active during the holidays enhances both physical health and our mental well-being. It helps with stress, can help reduce anxiety when a lot of social interactions, when a lot of people are around. It can also help if we're walking after we're eating, helps naturally lower our blood sugars, which is beneficial. Trying to do things where you have family time, where you're playing family games, you're getting outside, doing some winter sports, just doing an after dinner walk. All these are great options to do during the holidays. Remember, we want to eat with intention. We want to be fully present and focus what's actually on our plate without distraction. So try to keep those distractions minimized. Try to eat somewhere that's well lit. Try to eat somewhere where there's not kids running around or screaming or everybody's talking at once and you can't concentrate or enjoy your meal. It's really important to make sure you slow down and you savor every bite because it is delicious food and you should be able to enjoy it instead of just rushing through. Prepare yourself for success. Plan ahead. Planning ahead supports maintaining healthy habits during these holiday events. Bring a nutritious dish. So again, if you're in charge of bringing something, you bring the vegetables and the fruit and the whole grains, the lean protein, making sure that you're bringing the healthy dish and that thing that you can eat. Set realistic goals for yourself. It's likely not realistic to go into a family event and say, I'm not going to have a single cookie, a single piece of pie, absolutely no cake, none of my favorite desserts. I'm not eating any of it. One, that's not fun sometimes. To give yourself the grace to have some of that, you deserve to have some enjoyment too, even with your food. Just really keep the portion in moderation and watch what else you're doing with the rest of your meal. Some healthy holiday recipes. So these could include low-calorie holiday dishes. These are dishes that offer indulgence at a lower calorie per serving, promoting health, or just a smaller portion size. Trying to use nutrient-rich ingredients versus calorically dense. So things like squash, broccoli rabe, Brussels sprouts, chestnuts, these provide essential nutrients, and these are very common foods to add into holiday dishes. Try to be festive and flavorful with your dishes and balance those alternatives. Healthy recipes offer a balance to traditional high calorie fare. Definitely monitor your portion sizes. Okay. So standard portion sizes, protein usually about palm of your hand, computer mouse, deck of cards, that's 3 to 4 ounces, depending on the type of protein that you're choosing. Making sure if you're doing starch, about the same portion size, or you could picture a fist or a tennis ball is about a serving size of starch. Vegetables, those can take up half of your plate, especially if they're non-starchy. Make sure you get those vegetables in for the fiber. Dessert goes back down to the fist size. Okay, really want to try to keep that about half a cup a serving. Just remaining mindful of those eating strategies to use the smaller plate, eat slowly, pause before seconds, drink your water. All these are helpful. Make sure you're reading your nutrition labels, especially if you're bringing food in that is prepackaged. Okay. Things to primarily look out for your calories, definitely the portion size, your fats. You want to focus on your unsaturated fats versus saturated or trans fat. You want to make sure there's fiber in there. Keep the added sugars minimalized, also refined sugars minimalized. You want to watch out for the sodium, make sure there's definitely protein in there, and then look at that ingredient list. The shorter, the better. If there's a ingredient list on that package that is this long and you don't know what half of the things are, probably should avoid it. We really want to watch those food additives. And just be mindful of packaging. It can be extremely misleading. So things that are claiming low fat are typically higher in sugar. Things that are claiming sugar-free are just using sugar substitutes or sugar alcohols. They're still sweetened, they're just not sweetened with sugar. So be mindful that that ends up accumulation of more food additives, which also isn't necessarily the healthiest choice. So mindful eating during the holidays, being present while we're eating. So focusing on eating slowly, recognizing your hunger and fullness signals to avoid overeating, avoiding those distractions. Get rid of the screens if those are there. Try to sit in a quiet area if you can. Make sure it's well lit. All these things help change the perception that increase satiety. We want to appreciate food sensory qualities. So enjoying flavors and textures and aromas, all this helps with appetite and satiety. And then just making sure those mindful eating practices are ongoing, because this helps support digestion, it helps our emotional health, and it just makes sure that we have a healthier relationship with food. So some delicious plant-based holiday options. So plant-based dishes are rich in flavor. They have a lot of fiber, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and they're typically lower in saturated fat, cholesterol, and potentially calories. So examples could be something like stuffed acorn squash or a lentil loaf, roasted root vegetables, a vegan mushroom gravy, or dairy-free pumpkin pie. Herbs and spices are great to enhance the flavor of food without having to use salt. And then making sure that you're making those substitutions. So plant-based swaps, such as, I know it says almond milk here. Typically for baking, almond is not my favorite. It's a little thin, but soy milk, pea protein milk, great options, especially if you're cooking with them. Flax eggs instead of regular eggs, good healthy options for plant alternatives. So I basically want to say thank you. Thank you for listening today. Making sure that you're also saying thank you to yourself and giving yourself some gratitude and some grace when you are eating, and making sure that you're following those mindful eating practices and are having those intuitive insights into how you're going to plan your meals for the holidays. Here are some recipes. These are good links for anything that is typically going to give you more nutrient dense foods, less calorically dense, going to be more plant based, some more whole food based. So check out some of those recipes if you're interested. And then I hope everyone has a great holiday season.